This episode discusses suicide and self-harm. If you need support in the U.S., call, text, or chat 988 for immediate help. If you are outside the U.S., please contact emergency services.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cookout. We back here. We got something good on the grill for you today.
Yes, sir.
As usual, it's your boy, TheeAlexMac. It's my co-host, DapperDom. Hey, and sometimes it's so nice you got to do it twice.
Yeah.
So we had to bring back our boy, Mr. Lucian Isaac, licensed professional counselor, to talk about some good things to here with us today. But, you know, we got some house rules, some house business we got to do first. DapperDom, let them know.
Y'all already know. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Hey, reach one. What you tell them to do?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hey, and whether you watching us on YouTube, listening to Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, hey, we appreciate you accepting our invitation to the Cookout. And we talk about that, we talk about things at the Cookout just for fun, but also too, things that we should talk about. And September is Suicide Prevention Month.
Yeah.
And like he said, so nice, got to do it twice. This guy dropped so many gems on us the first time.
Yeah.
And you guys, we got so much feedback from that episode that we was like, let's bring him back.
Yeah.
I felt the energy. I felt the chemistry. So I was like, let's bring him back. And so we're not even going to chop it up today. We're just going to hop on like what's on the grill. And like I said, we're going to talk about suicide prevention, talk about like what are maybe some cues of people crying out for help. Like what are some questions that you can ask them? Probing questions is kind of gently asking them like how are they doing, how to check in. Maybe even talk about resources that are out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into it. So suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And I know like you're a licensed counselor. What are things as a counselor do you look for like during conversations?
Sure. I think in the dialogue that we were having leading up to this time, I think one of the important questions that you brought up, Dom, was the question about making a distinction about suicidal ideation versus suicidal intent.
Yes.
How about we kind of get our terms?
Yeah,
our terms, right? So
absolutely.
When we talk about a suicidal ideation, it's simply somebody saying, "Man, I'm in a bad spot, and I'm thinking about." I'm harming myself in one way or another, right? So it's just to say that the thought is there. I'm having a sucky day. Maybe the line is, man, I just wish I didn't wake up this morning.
Yeah, okay.
So that's an ideation.
Okay.
They call like passive, right? Like passive.
I mean, we still want to pay attention to it. Yeah. I mean, all of us, I think, could have a day like that.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't mean that we need to, call in the infantry, call in the EMTs and get the cops involved necessarily. We just say, okay, yeah, tell me about that. What's going on here? So that's the suicidal ideation. When we talk about suicidal intent, then there's an involvement of like, there's a plan of some sort, right? It's like, okay, here's why I might do this. Here's how I might do it. There's a means, right? The means that I'm going to use to do this. I might use a weapon or something like that. So when a person starts to talk and have more concrete ideas, more concrete plans, that's how we make a distinction there between a suicidal intent or plan versus a suicidal ideation.
Because I know for me, I'm guilty when I was younger. I know probably a couple times in my life where things weren't going well.
Right.
And I just kind of said it almost as to get the attention off of what was going wrong. So it was almost like I was doing it for sympathy from my parents.
Gotcha. Wow.
Like,
yeah.
And I know a couple of people, that I've encountered that school wasn't going well or something, and their parents were upset at them, and they might decide, well, I might as well just take myself out.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you balance that? Because I even know a young man that I'm, still kind of mentor, even when he was in high school, some things were going right. And he had made a comment. And so having a conversation with his parents about like trying to decipher, do we really think he's going to harm himself, or is he trying to just get the attention off of what he's done wrong to get some sympathy from us?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with that, I think we should take people at their word, right? And as we take a person at their word, then we lean into that conversation, move towards them and say, okay, yeah, things must be at a certain point here, at a certain such a bad place here for you to say that. So I want to better understand what's going on. Bring me into that. Help me understand, why does life feel so bad? Why does life feel so hard that you're at a place where you're saying, I'd rather be out. Just take me out. I'm out of here, you know? So I think being able to lean into that conversation and like you did with that young man, right? You invited him and you said, I'm here with open arms, right? Yeah. You can share that with me. I'm not freaked out about it. Yeah. We can talk about this. We can figure this out. Yeah. And I think that's the entry point, I think, initially here when somebody brings that up.
Because I think from not wrong, like I think like age range like 13 to 24 has like the second highest like suicide rate out of like elderly, which I was surprised at, like 85 and up had the highest suicide rate. So like having a 14-year-old, almost 15-year-old and being around teenagers and they growing up in the social media era that we didn't grow up in.
Right.
It's true. Yeah. What are some conversations or what are some things we can even check in with our teenagers on making sure that they are okay? Because they're not really talking these days. Like it could be all three of them sitting in a room like this and all of them on their phone, and they might be communicating to each other just on their phone instead of talking. And so if they're not talking to each other, how do we expect them to talk to us? And with
this here, man, that's loaded. That's loaded. Hey, that's a loaded potato right there. Wow.
For sure. Yeah. How do we bridge that gap there? You know, I think, man, I gotta take a moment on this.
Yeah, it's like bullying is so privileged.
Sure.
Yeah. I definitely and maybe as you ponder that a little bit, and when we think about it, maybe from like a parent side, you know, I think for me, a lot of what I try to do as mine just got into that preteen age at 11 is try to definitely, I don't allow surface answers, right?
Okay.
So I've tried to get beyond questions that are yes or no, because for me in my mind, I like to think of it as a temperature check.
Okay.
Right. So as you in any relationship, like you kind of create your own files on a person. So you kind of know like, okay, well, there's been times I've talked to Dom and I'd be like, hey, how's everything going? And he give me a response. I'm like, no, you know what I'm saying? I feel like in any relationship, you should, you have, it's like a check engine light. When someone gives you a response that is a little off, it's like, okay, let's follow that up with another question. And so a lot of times I try to, especially, and we've talked about it, about the dynamics of bullying, the dynamics of the racial demographic in Northwest Arkansas. Yes. I try to get ahead of those things in having those conversations to really have, you know, to understand, you know, not just the surface. How was school? Good. Did you have fun? Yes. Like I tried those types of things. It's like, no, I want to go a little bit deeper.
Yes.
And we had a situation where there was bullying, where there was racial bullying, and it was things where, you know, after it happened, we sat down with him and we, said, hey, how did that make you feel?
Right.
You know, what did you think about that? You know, why did you respond this way versus that way, to really kind of understand, you know, what his emotional needs are.
Yeah.
So I think we all have different emotional needs in relationships that you're trying to assess. And again, I feel like for me, when you're in a relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whether it's, you know, a guardianship type of relationship, you can hear something that is like, okay, my check engine light just went off. I need to ask some more, you know, questions from there. And, you know, lastly, I would kind of say from my perspective is really trying to get out of our head, because I feel like at least our generation's up, I hear a lot of people saying, this generation is soft. You know, they're complaining. And so I do think, and I would love to dive into that piece, is how do we talk about, you know, that perseverance in that getting through things versus no, this person's really having a hard time with some concepts that are going on.
Sure.
And I'm concerned.
Yeah,
you know?
no, for sure. I'm gonna maybe try to tie both of those in here. If I look at it from a 3,000-foot view, I think the piece that is important here is what kind of a culture, because we're kind of talking more of a parenting level here. I mean, even in friendships, like what kind of a culture am I creating in my relationships? Am I creating a culture of openness, of vulnerability, of care, and compassion, right? So to go with maybe the teenager and the parent, it's like, okay, I'm concerned about my kid and I don't know if there's something going on. So in order to have more access to that child in many ways, the culture and the environment that I create around our relationship is what's going to help me gain that access. So I think if a parent wants to just kind of like out of the blue, it's like, I never check in with my kid. We're like strangers passing in the wind, and all of a sudden something is going on, and then I'm showing this care and compassion, the attention. A lot of time the kid's gonna be like, what? Yeah. Like, where's this coming from? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's hard to imagine that a switch is gonna just flip and then there's gonna be that access. So I would say, big picture wise, if a parent hasn't yet, begin to create that culture.
Yeah.
And say and be explicit about the fact that this is the culture that we're creating. We haven't done this before. I didn't experience this when I was a kid, but now I have a better understanding of this. We're gonna do things differently. We're creating a culture in our family where there's compassion, understanding, and vulnerability, and care for one another, so that when something shows up, it's already kind of built in. So if that's not built in, first thing first, let's go build that in as we're kind of assessing and drawing close to this young person to figure out what's going on with them.
That's it. I mean, I think that's key right there, man.
That is key. And I'm gonna add a little sidebar. I'm gonna throw a little wrench in here. That, as you were talking about when you're talking to your kids and you're checking in, you're asking me, not accepting like I'm good, or like things that's just a surface level.
Yeah.
Why do we do it as men?
Oof. That's old practice what you preach. I'm
calling it out. Like I'm 1,000% guilty of that. Like as you were talking about, how you interact with your sons. Like I was just thinking about like on Sunday, me and my youngest, baseball is not his favorite. Okay, but it's like baseball. Like we're doing a little fall ball and we were out and we're doing coach pitch and he's afraid to get hit.
Okay.
With the ball, and so he steps out and stuff, and so I hit him a couple times, not hard, but like just to let him know like
it's okay.
And so, of course, he naturally started crying.
Okay,
more so feelings was hurt more than anything.
Okay,
so I let him go in the house, I let him shower, and then my wife was like, I think he's in there crying, like you might want to talk to him. I was like, I am. I'm just giving him his space, and so when he got out, I had wrote down 3 questions. I had wrote down, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Why were you crying? But then also too, we had been talking about what confidence is. And I was like, and what's confidence? And so he said he was afraid of getting hit with the ball.
Okay.
And then why was he crying? Because I hit him with the ball.
Okay.
And then he talked like confidence is having belief in yourself no matter what.
Okay.
And so we talked through, are you afraid of getting hit? Once you got hit, did it hurt? And he was like, yes. I was like, yes, it's going to hurt sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's like things in life is going to hurt. I said, but are you still breathing and are you okay? And he was like, yes, sir. And I was like, well, what lesson do you think you can take away from this? He was like, that I should listen to you. And I was like, yeah, that's one thing you can take away. But one thing you should take away is you're tougher than you think. And it's okay to cry, but also know that you're okay in this moment too. So like, just because you're crying doesn't mean like you're weak or afraid, but like strength. And like next time, like you can learn like, oh man, my dad's hit me. Which he brought it up that I had hit him more than twice because accidentally pegged him before. He was like, I think that was like your third or fourth time.
For the record, I keep it track. I keep it track now.
I say, or even more so, like you're tougher. Like in Utah, I was like, because he wants to play football. He thinks he loves football. I was like, football, you might get hit a lot harder than that. But like, you gotta understand.
Yeah.
But going through that emotional exercise with him, like we don't pause and do that for ourselves.
Somebody don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's so much that you could unpack there. I think a lot of it just comes from, again, from a certain demographic and a certain age. I think you can sit down and have a lot of conversations of what was either explicitly told to you in terms of what it means to be a man. But I think it's more so the examples that you had in front of you.
Sure.
Right? So, and that weren't necessarily said, right? And so I think there's so many stories that you can talk about in terms of, you just talked about crying. It wasn't no crying. It wasn't no crying back when I was coming up. But I think we can all nod our heads and say that it was part of the culture of learning how to be a man. It's this very hard, rigid exterior and interior that has been put in front of us in terms of how we are supposed to be and how we're supposed to show up, that we're impenetrable, that nothing can hurt us, right? That we're invisible. It's a warrior, darn near barbaric type of things that we think in our minds in terms of what we should be as men. And so I think a lot of those, we've talked about programming. A lot of those things have been hardwired into us. And so it's hard to, start taking those things apart and saying, hey, it's okay not to do this. And it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to even have feelings. Right. These are things to where when I was growing up, you didn't get talked to about how you felt. It was part of how we were raised, and not necessarily saying that I don't care how you felt, but it was, hey, I'm an adult. You're a child. You're whatever I do, you're going to live with that because I have the best intentions for you. And so I think those things are just, it is hard when those are the examples that have been in front of us to just be able to say, to acknowledge that you have feelings when everything else is just like, no, like I can run through a wall and it won't hurt me, or anything can happen to me and it won't hurt. So I think that is really, I think in our minds, we are like, man, I'm struggling, man. But our mouth, the pride of being a man won't let those words come out of our mouth.
Wow. So I have a question for you. And I know we talked about, I think men are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than women. Like, do you think that ties into that? Like, we just hold everything in and feel like that's our only out. Like, I would rather just, take myself out than face this failure or let these emotions out. And then also, he talked about rewiring. Like, where do we begin to rewire what we've been programmed? So
that rewiring I think really happens because through connection and relationships, right? If you think about a young person who maybe has a certain mindset about what they're capable of. You talked about with your son, right? Him maybe rethinking this idea of, I can't do hard things, or this is going to be painful. And so if it's going to be painful, I can't do it, right? So part of the rewiring there is even what you're doing right there. The relationship that you have with him, the way that you're inviting him into a dialogue and a conversation. It's the relationship that's facilitating that rewiring. Yeah. So we then become, as we are navigating and interacting with people in our community, our interactions with them, the way we show up, how we interact with them, then begins this process of a bit of rewiring. Right? The closer the relationship, clearly that's going to have a powerful, a more, kind of like a tangible impact in terms of rewiring, but I think it is through relationship, because it's through the relationships that we were wired anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So the rewiring happens through relationship just as much as the way we were wired happened, and the conditioning was happening through relationship. So yeah. Right.
So I know probably a big piece of, like I just said, like recognizing and handling failure
Yeah.
as a man, or even say, just take me, for example, like on a job for 14 years and then all of a sudden I lose my job. And like, I know we talked about a little bit about like identity and like what you do in our last episode.
Right. Right.
There. Like what part does that play in people when it comes to like suicide?
Yeah.
Suicidal thoughts or
Sure. Yeah, definitely that piece around like a hopelessness of like, man, I kind of put all my eggs in this basket and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
It feels like I don't have what it takes to do this again. Right. So this hopelessness that shows up. And then I would say helplessness is another piece of like, I don't have the resources. I'm kind of like, I'm by myself. I'm alone here. I don't have the resources that I need to take care of this. So I think when those elements kind of come into play, and you kind of bring in, for example, like the example of losing a job or being laid off or something like that. That has
whatever. Yeah.
That can dramatically change somebody's life experience.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if I don't see how I'm going to make ends meet in a situation like that, then man, hopelessness and helplessness, that's the ground for that to just thrive, right? And just kind of like grow like wildfire, right? Or, and so, yeah, when those elements are present, then we start to turn to here are maybe some behavioral things that we can notice, right? If there is a place of hopelessness and helplessness, then we start turning to, reckless behavior, kind of like driving or like, doing like, I don't even know, like extreme sports, spending money recklessly, all those kinds of reckless behavior kind of begin to say, what's kind of going on here? It's like, it doesn't, like my life doesn't matter anymore. Nothing can hurt me. It doesn't matter if I get hurt. It's okay. I don't care about my life at this point, right? So some of these reckless behavior, definitely heavy substance abuse is a sign. When we're seeing those kinds of things, that tells us something. One that has been enduring is when people start giving away their belongings. It's like something that is precious to somebody, and they're saying they're gonna let you have it. You're like, wait, what? That matters to you, like an autographed jersey or something like whoa, I know how much this matters to you. Now you're giving that to me?
Wow.
We need to pay attention. We need to slow down and be like, what's going on here? Right? When we start seeing those kinds of things, definitely,
Help me in the audience kind of understand where that kind of bridge happens from it being like an idea to being like
I'm putting a plan together.
I'm putting that plan together, because I've also like I think these are things that I want people to understand. I don't want it to be like a he talked about it, sympathy and attention. So it almost becomes like the boy that cried wolf thing. It's like, okay, man, Dahmer's this is 10th time talking about it, and then maybe there's 11th time he's really serious. But because I've heard people say like, oh man, I'm depressed, and it's like, well, it's just been one bad day, and typically it takes some time for that to be in a diagnosis. So talk a little bit about that bridge from when it's just maybe hey man, I just rough day, I'm better off not being here, versus like, hey, this is where I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it, I got a letter together. Like, how does that time frame kind of look average? Right?
That's a tough one, because I think it kind of depends on the individual.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we can still kind of talk through that a little bit. I think the persistence of the hard place that somebody is in, right? Okay. That I think is a big factor. It's one thing to have a bad day.
Yes.
It's another thing to have 8 months, 9 months and not feeling I'm not even getting one win. Right? No matter what I do, no matter what I try, everything is crumbling, everything is falling apart, right? And there's actual data of everything is falling apart. Not just like, this is how I said it. This is what it feels like.
I was going to add finish that like sometimes we push on a light so much on the negative that we don't see the positive.
Sure.
And so like how do you tell individuals to celebrate the small wins? Because like
Yeah. So we gotta be careful. No, you're good. We gotta be careful with that one, right? Because I think in with our best intentions, we want to help pull people out of the hole that they're finding themselves in by saying, "Oh, wait a second! Don't you notice you can be grateful for this part and that part?" But then we're ignoring, right? We're dismissing the hole that they're like, "Don't you see I'm in a hole here?" And you're telling me about having a day at the beach and how that could be wonderful. Like, there's sunshine today. It didn't rain today. Why don't you appreciate that? I'm like, no, I'm in this hole. Right? So, yes, there is something about a balance here. But I think the balance first begins with acknowledging the hole that the person is in.
You know what? That's real. And I would tell you that from personal experience.
Okay.
I tell you that, honestly, outside of my wife, you guys would be the only one. I guess the audience down to hear this, but I went through a period of time where, it was definitely, pervasive thoughts. I had, lost in a span of not even a year, I lost my mother-in-law. So I was trying to figure out how to be a protector and a provider for everybody that was having grief. And then, lost my son within 6 months of each other. And so for me, it was during COVID.
Wow. Isolation.
The early part. So isolation, that stigma of like, hey, you can't really grieve because you need to make sure everybody else is good. And it definitely was some dark times for me personally.
Yeah.
And to this day, I know the thing that saved me was my two boys that were here with me right now.
Yeah.
I was like, if I do that, that's gonna mess them up. And they literally saved my life.
Wow.
Because it was definitely a point to where it was persistent and I had a plan.
Wow.
I had a plan.
And it doesn't sound like you shared that with anybody.
No.
Wow.
No. But for me, when we talk about the cookout, it's about, it's about how can we help others.
Right.
And so, it's about fighting stereotypes.
Yeah.
Because
like that,
a few years ago, I would not have said that. I would not have been public with it.
Okay. Right.
But how can I sit up here and say, hey, we need to fight against the stereotypes of being vulnerable if I'm not doing that? So I feel like it takes us. It starts with one person, man. It starts with one person, and it starts with one person.
Yeah. Man, good. So appreciate you being so willing to bring that to us, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Not just to us, but
To everybody.
to our listeners, to our audience.
Right.
Wow, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so, and just one second, and I'm so thankful that you're here.
Yeah. No,
I'm so thankful that you're here.
and it's one of those things where it's like, it's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Even when you feel like you in the darkest depths, in the darkest times, it's a light.
Yeah.
And that light was those two boys. So when people say, why you doing all that coaching? Why are you running? For them.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason that I'm here.
Yeah.
That's what pulled me out of that hole, was knowing their admiration and love for Dad, that You know, it would shatter their world if I wasn't here.
Man.
So it is a light, man. I know it's times where it doesn't seem like it, but there's somebody there on the other side, I guarantee you, that would have an irreplaceable hole if somebody wasn't there. Viewers, anybody.
Yeah.
All of us have someone, for sure.
Yeah. And to really take that to heart and to believe that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
I really matter to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really matter to somebody.
Absolutely, man.
Wow. Yeah. Man. Grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean to.
No, you're
Appreciate
No.
you, brother.
I don't know, throw that off too much, but I do feel like there is
That's
like
where we are.
what we were talking about was, hey, there is, being able to see that positive when you feel like, hey, I'm just buried in negative things. I can't get a win. And it just, man, this happens. I feel like I'm trying to get on the other side. Then boom, you get knocked back down.
Yeah.
There's something positive there that we have to, reach. And sometimes I was able to self-reflect and see that and just see them running around the house and be like, man, if you do that, man. And sometimes it takes us as friends or family members seeing those social cues and pouring into that person and saying, hey, man, you know what? So I think it's both of those.
Sure.
It could be within you or it could be somebody else that notices something and says, hey, you know what? Like this is, man, yeah, I know you're seeing this, but hey, the storm's going to end and at the next day, the sun's going to rise again. Storms always end, right?
Yeah. They don't.
There's no storm. There's no history of a storm that has lasted forever. They may go on for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the end of that storm, or at the, like my kids, they like to ride around, they see the rainbows. That's at the end of a rainstorm, thunderstorm.
That's right.
It's a rainbow.
Right. Well,
Right? So it's not gonna last. That's the ship is gonna rock.
yeah.
But if you stay in it and you see that, hey, I'm trying to get over there, and I see that destination is over there, I have to get through this, and I don't have to get through it alone.
And that's the key
I don't have to get through it
That's
alone.
the key part. That is the key part, right? And I think sometimes you're saying that your relationship with your kids helped you have a vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
In an indirect way. They didn't come to you and say, Dad, we need you to be here for us. But that relationship was what helped you see the possibility of a light right at the end of the tunnel there.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the relationship piece is so key there. Yeah.
That you talked about when somebody is in that hole.
Yeah.
Like, what's some language that we can use to let them know, like, hey, we see you where you are. Then how do we help them get from where they are?
Yeah.
If they don't have a vision, you know what I mean? Like, how do we help in our relationship with that individual, help them create a vision that they don't even see in themselves? Because like you said, like stuff just keeps getting piled onto.
Sure. I think being able to give them permission to acknowledge the hole that they're in, because I think it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, right? It almost feels like we don't want to dwell in the negative, right? We don't want it because it feels uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to stay in this space too much, because if I tie this to a myth, right? If we stay in this space, this makes it worse. If we talk about the suicidal thoughts that you're having, that's going to make it worse. That's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
Talking about it, addressing it, making space, making room for what is happening is actually part of the exit strategy here.
Okay.
Right? And so what do we do when we see somebody in a hole? It's helping him have a felt sense that we're willing to sit with them in this hole.
Yep.
That we're not saying, I can't be around you until you're out of this hole.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm willing to sit with you. Doesn't mean that, and that can look many different ways, right? I don't have to force myself to feel a certain way while I'm in that hole. All this person needs to know is that this doesn't change anything between you and me.
Oh, yeah.
We're connected. You matter to me, whether you're in this hole or not. This doesn't change anything. So because I care about you, I'm willing to step into this hole and say, you're not alone. I got you. I'm going to check in on you. I'm going to be a resource for you. When you don't have the energy to go to the grocery store, I got your back. Or we can do DoorDash. Really saying I'm invested in your well-being. I'm invested in you recovering from what feels so hard. We think of a situation with grief, right? Yeah. In the example you're talking about, right? Where you get hit with these two situations in such close proximity, and it's like, what do I do with that, right? Yeah. And maybe it's the scenario of like, well, it feels like I have to be the stronger, wiser for everybody else, and so I'm not taking care of me, or the pain of what I've experienced. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know where to go with that. Like it feels like it's overwhelming. It's overtaking me, right? So is somebody willing to say, man, if it takes 6 months for me to sit with you in this whole of like how overwhelmed you feel about your grief, I'm willing to do that. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it and say, man, it's been 4 months. Shouldn't you be over it by now? Shouldn't we be moving on? Right? Yeah. If somebody can have a felt sense of like, you're giving me permission to be in this space, that's actually going to be the exit strategy. Trying to yank somebody out of there, does the exact opposite of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, I think that is very much profound, because I think there's also a stigma in terms of a expiration date, right? In terms of how long these things should take. Yes. How long should grief take? How long should healing take? How long to your point, there's no set rule that says, okay, you get 8 months for this, you get a year for this, you get 18 months for this.
Absolutely.
That's not how it works. And so I think a real relationship requires someone that says, hey, if it's 2 days, if it's 2 years, I'm going to be there to make sure you have what you need.
I'm here
to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And so I think that is definitely a stigma. And sometimes I think we have to really be careful about how we think about today's society, and understanding that, there's some people that really have some serious things that are going on. I think some of that is people being very serious about how they talk about it, right? Like it's just saying, oh, well, that's what to me, words matter. So someone saying, oh, well, I'm depressed. And then you start talking to them, it's like, well, they just had a bad day, right? Not to dismiss,
sure, I got you.
But when we start talking about diagnosis and then we can't play around with those types of things.
Sure.
Because I think that also causes that stigma for people to feel like, hey, people are throwing these words out there.
Is that?
And it's not really real. And maybe it's for sympathy. Maybe it's for attention. Maybe it's just for, they're not educated around what depression, what anxiety, what grief, what these things really look like. And so I think that we have to understand that there is a dichotomy in terms of, there are parts of society that are different than how we grew up. Yep. But also there's another side of it that people are really still dealing with some tough things in life.
100%.
COVID was tough for people.
My goodness.
The economy is tough for people right now. Exactly. When you joblessness, that's tough for people. Homelessness, all those things still exist in our society today. Yeah. So as long as they do, there's always going to be people that, feel like they're at a point of despair and there's no turning back. And so we have to have a heart to that. Yes. And a humanity to that, and understanding that, hey, even if we don't know these people, nobody wants anyone to say, hey, this world is better off without me here.
Wow. 100%. Yeah.
In your experience, I know we've talked about, us being real, we like talk about our experience of how depression and just that pressure shows up in our life. But in your practice, how have you seen the difference of it, how it shows up between men and women?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of suicidality specifically.
Yes. feel like, did you notice it? 'Cause like when we talk, like we don't talk this much, right?
Yeah.
When like, are women more prone to come out and get more accused than men, or just in your experience, like it's
Sure. Yeah. I'm just kind of like going through the Rolodex. Yeah. In my head, I'm like, yeah. I think maybe the women that I can think of that have mentioned struggling with suicidality or just some suicide ideation, right? It seems like they can maybe access that a little bit more easily, maybe than the men, right? I can think of, I'm trying to, again, think through here. But I think one thing that has been consistent across the men and the women, though, regardless of the gender here, I think something that's been consistent is the posture that I have towards them kind of like pulls it out of them. Okay. But that's why the relationship matters, guys. Yeah, the relationship. Like, as I was kind of preparing for our time, most of the time when somebody expresses that they have a suicidal ideation, it's not necessarily because they actually want to die. So the majority of the time, it's not because of a true desire of like, I want to be out, right? It's more so this pain that I'm experiencing, the weight of my situation, how this is wearing me out.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, and I can't take that anymore, right? So, and if we can present ourselves to people who are struggling and say, man, I see you, right? And I'm willing to be with you in that. There is permission. And when I say to my clients, when we're first meeting, I'm like, I'm a mandated reporter, meaning if somebody mentions that they have a thought of harming themselves or harming other people, I don't have the luxury to be like, well, I hope that doesn't happen. Right? By law, I have some responsibilities here, some ethical responsibilities here. And what I tell my clients is that, man, I'm comfortable with the full spectrum. Whether you're telling me you woke up this day and you're like, man, this is a crappy day, I don't even want to finish this day, or you have a clear plan and intention to do something, there's permission for all of it. And I think that just kind of normalizes the conversation to say, yeah, you're a human being. I get it. Life is hitting you. And I don't know you from Adam. This is our first session. So I don't know what you're coming in the room with. So I just want you to know there's space and there's permission for all of it.
For sure.
And if there's more that's there that we need to talk about, we're going to make sure you're safe. And that means we may have to take some steps. But I'm not abandoning you. I'm not leaving you. I'm walking with you through that.
I legit just had that conversation with my new therapist. So I just started with a new therapist,
right.
This morning. And so we just
let's go.
We just had that conversation. And he more so wanted to let me know that he was going to be there for me through the entire process. He was more so like, hey, based off just our first conversation, like, I want to dig deep at you. And I want to let you know, like, I want to make sure that I'm going to go as deep as you want to go.
Wow.
And I'm not going to leave you. And I hope that you don't, it was more so, I hope you don't leave me when we get in it. I don't want you to be alone with it. You're like, I don't want you to just all of a sudden just drop off the face of the earth. And now I'm just wondering, like, we got this deep. Is anybody else in the hole with it? So let me had that conversation this morning. And so,
Man, that's okay. I love that.
And it was more so like, hey,
props to the colleague. Not props to the colleague.
It was more so like, hey, I want to go deep with you, and I want to make sure to let you know that I'm gonna be here with you.
Come on.
So that's that relationship piece. From our first conversation, he was like, we're in it. Like, wherever you want to go, we're going. And just based off just our first conversation, I feel like we're about to go deep here.
Okay. Right.
So that made, me feel really good. It's like,
yes,
he wants to help me deal with whatever grief, pain, whatever I'm struggling with. We talked about exercises we're going to do with him.
Okay.
You know, he said whether that's journaling, whether that's experiences that I want to like put you through, or just conversations. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I feel like he's gonna try to push me. Yeah, maybe he can push me more than I. Hold on,
I'm
not ready though.
Yeah, that's what time. That's what we need.
Yeah, so
All right.
yeah.
Let me jump off of that real quick, right? I think another myth of like, man, we gotta have some letters behind our names to help people.
Yeah.
No, I'm thankful that there are professionals who can help us, right? Thankful for that, because I'm in the field too, obviously, right? But nobody needs to have a degree to be able to do this, right? It's a willingness to say, can I say yes to this process of walking with this person, right? In the healthiest way I can, right? When I mean the healthiest way I can, we don't want to get ourselves in a position now that we're now in a hole and we're needing somebody else to help us. So we want to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, even when we're volunteering to join this person in their hole and say, I'm gonna be with you.
So how do you balance that? Because like you just said, like there's no timetable for somebody to heal or grieve. So hey, we 8 months in, I might feel like, hey brother, we should be a little bit further along than we are, and I'm getting drained. Like, so what do I do to fill my cup so I can continue to fill this person's cup? Or say, hey, I've taken you as far as I can go. I'm still here for you, but we need to find another outlet together, because clearly I'm never.
Okay, yeah. That's where we need the tribe.
Okay.
Right? That's where we need the village, right? So that it's not all falling on one person. Yeah. Bring other people in, right? With consent and permission, right? But bring other people in to say, look, here's the entourage that's saying, we're committed to you. You matter to us, and we want you to be around, and we're gonna support you. We're gonna make sure we're healthy as we're supporting you, because we don't want to all kind of find ourselves in this really unhealthy place. But here we are. We're committed. We're gonna be with you. So involving other people, the sense of the village, the tribe, I think that's necessary. So that's not all falling on one person. Like, I'm the one person that is able and that has to make this work to help this person, right? Involving other people. Yeah.
We like to say at the cookout, you're going to leave with more than food on your plate.
Come on.
And so,
what
do you want our listeners to go plate?
I don't want to go first. I didn't go first last time. I didn't get all time. You throw the aluminum foil on the put it on the side. I'll get us kicked off.
I think for me, it's one of the biggest things that really hit me being in therapy was just the concept of communication. And I think most times when most people hear communication, they think about the speaking part of it.
Right.
I actually think that the listening part is the most. Listening for comprehension is what I like to say.
I like that.
There's a difference.
Sure.
But listening for comprehension is, to me, on my to-go plate is listen, observe, pay attention to what the people that you are close to you and around you are dealing with. Your kids, your friends, your siblings, your parents, people that you feel are treasured to you, understand when, their temperature's a little bit off. And it's been off for a week or it's been off for a month. Let me, it doesn't have to be intrusive, right? But it is just saying, hey, I care about you. I don't feel like you really been yourself. I'm here for you. If you want to talk about anything, you know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. Listen, observe, engage. Listen, observe, engage. Because there are some cues, and it's always tough when someone parts this earth that way, because then those people are left with those feelings of, oh man, he mentioned that one time, or what did I miss? Or he had been off the last couple of months, but man, I was just too busy to reach out to him. And then you're left with that guilt and that burden. And again, there's, it's no one's fault. When someone decides to do that, that is their choice. that they're making, right? But I think if, again, we all have people around us that we want to know, we want to ensure that they are here with us. So how are we listening? How are we observing? And how, when we see things that a little bit off, how are we engaging with them to let them know whatever you're going through, whatever you want to share or not want to share, I'm here for you. I love you. That's mine.
I would say failure is not the end.
Come on.
It's an opportunity to learn, grow, and become a better version of yourself. Because I think we see failure as, you know what I mean, like, and I think we talked about it. So yeah, failure is not the end.
I love that. Yeah. Man, so good, guys. So good. Tough act to follow here. I think what's resonating with me is this piece around just because somebody, if you're out there and you're having these thoughts, it doesn't mean you're defective. It doesn't mean that you're broken. And it doesn't mean that it's the end of the road. Right? Acknowledge what's happening. Acknowledge as much as possible what you understand is the source of this pain and of this discomfort that you're feeling, and ask for help. Reach out. Right? Let your needs be known to those who care about you, because you do matter. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, hey, we'll put some resources at the end of this episode. This has been a heavy, great topic. Hopefully you guys took something away from it. Like I said, we appreciate you accepting our invitation to the cookout. And we'll see you at the next one.
All right. Yeah.
If you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, you don't have to go through it alone. If you're in the U.S., call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're in Canada, call or text 988 for Talk Suicide. Elsewhere, check local emergency numbers or trusted crisis hotlines in your area. Reaching out for support is a brave and important step. Please take care of yourself.